Alright, so I'm gonna make this video. My baby trying to go to sleep, so
What?
we're gonna go to sleep, but I want to make my video quickly and anyways, uh, I get book ideas and story ideas like randomly throughout the day, and things like one time when I was walking home from work, I saw a twig on the ground, and the twig had a little twist and shape to it, almost humanoid-like, and it was only maybe 3 inches long, maybe 4, and with the dried up leaves, it was vaguely reminiscent of a little fairy on the ground, and it was dried up, and I thought a story where climate change and environmental crisis got so bad that we literally discovered fairies because we started killing them. So my story would be like, it starts out with middle of the city, random area, random person walking down the street comes across the corpse of a fairy, dead. And the discovery that fairies are real. The environment has gotten so bad that literally we're poisoning things we didn't even know existed. So it starts out with the one. Week later, there's a couple more. It gets to the point where they're raining fairy corpses on the city. They've found them dying. They found a couple alive. They're trying to figure out what's killing them. They're trying to figure out how to talk to them. And they end up with this whole thing. And it's all from the first person who found the fairies watching news reports and following social media and trying to keep up on what's going on. And the relationships and the cross communications between the species, and dealing with a crisis that could be could start a war, basically. And it was a really interesting story to me, all based on a twig, and I thought it would be really interesting. I get story ideas just randomly on something that just makes me go, what if? What if this? What if that? One of my favorite stories I had come across was I was watching The Three Musketeers. You know, the one with Chris O'Donnell, and they had Oliver Platt and Charlie Sheen and Kiefer Sutherland. And in the story, the young man D'Artagnan was grazed by a bullet. He's supposed to get ahead and find some spy assassin. And he falls off his horse while riding on the road and just laying in the road. Spy assassin lady is Sabine, and she's coming down the road. And her coach stops, and she's like, what's going on? Why are you stopping? And he's like, there is a body in the road. So her stageman checks him out. He's still alive. This little scene sparked a what-if scenario. What if a traveler went on a long trip, from country to country in the old days, which countries aren't that big in Europe from what I understand, but traveling a long road for days, comes across an area of the road where there's a body laying in the road. Unfortunate soul is just laying out in the road. So he goes up to it. Turns out to be his own body. literally finds himself dead in the road. Can't bring himself to step over it and walk on. Can't just leave it there. The awkwardness and the strangeness of having to dig a grave and bury yourself, all the while wondering if you're yourself or if you're them or are you both. Bury yourself on the road and move on. Now, this is his future self. Somehow, he has come across the future self of him that has died an untimely death. But when he came in contact with himself, he didn't cause reality to fold in on itself. What happened was he shared existence. Not life, because he was dead, but existence in the same moment at the same time. And so there's a transfer of informational. And so our hero of the story actually starts having memories of things that hadn't happened yet. And he's actually remembering his future self's memories. And so he's trying to make sense of these things, because it doesn't make any sense to him. They kind of get triggered, kind of like flashbacks or you know, post-traumatic stress type thing. Like something will trigger him, scent, a sound, and he would have this memory that would be vivid. And so it takes a while to realize what's happening. And the hero of the story would be like, you know, solving some terrible crime, but it cost him because he has to die in order to be back on that road, in order to give himself the future sight. It was a round and round thing. I remember having this one story I was trying to work out. I wanted to do how water can be in different forms. It could be solid, vapor, and liquid. I wanted to do the same thing with the life energy. So I had these aliens that would come to the planet. And what they would do, they would literally draw off the electrical energy that is life inside the human body. Electrical nervous systems, firing between the brain cells and the nerves, and how the body functions. The thing that is life in an electrical form was drawn out, and they feed on it. And they convert that energy to a liquid, and it's their blood. So they feed on it, and it fuels their blood. So the only thing that can stand up to them is something that's not alive. So I had vampires. This was before everything was vampires. Before Twilight, and I'm pretty sure the Interview with Vampire was out, but you know, there was not like a lot of vampires. So what it was the vampires had to stand up to save humanity because that's their food supply. And they too were once human. So, they sided between aliens and humans, they sided with the humans. So, aliens can't feast on them. Vampires tried to do their thing. They decided to try to drink the aliens' blood. And the aliens are very susceptible to that. One vampire discovers, after several aliens in, he drains them of their blood. After a certain amount of blood from the aliens, the vampires converted that liquid blood back to an electrical signal and actually came back to life. So the aliens take the life from a human, the vampire took the life from the alien and became alive. So it was like this whole circle thing. Anyways, I was struggling to make the circle complete. And then everything turned into vampire. And it was like, okay, it's a little overdone. So I haven't thrown it away, but I just put it on the back burner until later. And then I was recently thinking about a reverse situational, like telling of Beauty and the Beast. And instead of like the Beast waiting for someone to love him, and the girl coming in and she's a prisoner and becomes infatuated and becomes in love and all that stuff, like Stockholm Syndrome Cinderella, it's more like she's in a relationship with him. He's not ugly, he's not monstrous, he's just abusive. He's the prince, he's in power, he's got the castle, she's his, the staff are enablers. She's trying to get away. You know, she starts escaping in steps. And her first escape is the library, where she starts to read. And the more she reads, the more she knows, she gets more knowledge. She learns some crafts and some skills, and through his tantrums, she learns to fix things, because the things that she likes keeps getting broken. He's damaging things to hurt her. And so she repairs them. She becomes good at it. So she ends up having someone in town, something they valued broke, and they're distraught, and it's this sentimental thing, and she fixes it. And then people start bringing her things to fix. So she becomes this person who can fix things. She convinces him to let her open a shop, and she opens up her little shop, and she has customers, and she's doing pretty good. She started feeling good about herself. She started to feel confident. She's having these pleasant days, but then she's got to go home. And then, she gets a shop dog. She's convincing him she needs a dog so that nobody robs her little shop while she's gone. And then she has a little studio in the top of the shop, so she starts staying there. She tells him that she's got so many orders, she can't go home. So she gotta keep working. She's working. She's starting to have a nice life. She's having pleasant conversations. She's being treated well. She's being respected. She's starting to develop boundaries. Dude flies off the handle. He's manipulative. He's demanding she come home. She go through all this whole situation. He tried to drag her away. Dog attacks him. He ends up hurting the dog. The dog chews him out, gets him to leave, and he decides, forget it, I'll just go home. And so he's off, he leaves. She's taking care of the dog. She's mending the dog's wounds. And she literally, at that moment, her heart is cold to him. Whatever love she once had is gone. And in that moment, he experiences cold. And it spreads through him. And he gets heavy. He ends up at the edge of town, falling to the ground, and he dies. Literally, her being his victim was keeping him alive. Her freedom caused him to die. And the people have no regard for him. They step over him. They keep going about their business. she never goes toward the edge of town. She stays right locally around her shop. She never sees him. He just never comes back. She don't know. And so she lives this content, happy life, fixing things during the day, reading and drinking tea at night, enjoys her life with her and her dog. And so this was like a freedom story. And if it happened to follow anybody else's real life story, it's only coincidental, because I really don't know anybody like this. I don't know anybody in this situation, and it's not a how-to story. It's just, what if it went the other way? Instead of coming in, it was going out. Anyways, I like to tell stories, and I like making up stories. I try to find something different. So, anyways, that's just what I've been thinking about lately. And, anyways, I'm tired. So, goodbye.